Let's bring in cybersecurity expert Graham Stewart, who's head of public sector at the IT security firm Checkpoint Software Technologies. Graham, thanks for joining us this evening. Just for idiots like me who don't understand hacking or that kind of stuff, explain how you think this happened.
So, and I've got to start. I don't think attribution comes from me. It should come from the MOD. But it's hardly a surprise. There's been a notable increase in suspected attacks from nation states. Many of the nation states have got hacking teams that have been sort of publicly called out. The approach is unsurprising and hardly new. So if you think of this in terms of conventional warfare and the Cold War, nations fought proxy wars for years, 60 years of South America, Africa, the Middle East, places like that. Supply chain is a natural evolution. So rather than a nation state going after another nation state directly, what you're seeing is going after the weakest areas, but where that data exists. So the Ministry of Defense has some of the best people and some of the best systems in the world. But if they outsource, as many governments do around the world, some of their payroll, catering, things like that, data is going to exist in those systems, and it's much harder for these organizations to keep control of this data, it would appear, than the MOD would do itself.
You don't have to attribute it. We're saying it's China, and plenty of people are agreeing with us, even if the government are being a bit slow to acknowledge that as a fact. Even so, is this a bit of a gaffe in terms of, like you say, if they're outsourcing payroll and not checking if payroll is secure enough?
Well, the Ministry of Defence has got a concept of secure by design, which is something it's been pushing out across all of its suppliers for years. And a mantra of, as you're building systems for the Ministry of Defence, that it should be secure from the ground up. So one has to wonder if that's been written into the contracts, if that's been audited, that the level of governance has been applied to these organisations. And that actually is one of the reasons for the failure. I don't doubt that the organisation that's supposed to have been hacked here has really good cybersecurity in place, but it does kind of highlight the need for continuing to stay on top of this and continuing to invest in cybersecurity as it goes on, because this is a moving feast. It will continue to evolve as the technology evolves.
If you were one of those 250,000 people whose details are now apparently in the possession of China via this payroll hack, how would you be feeling?
I think I'd undoubtedly frustrated. I'd be looking to see what the response is. I also think a measured response is probably what's called for here, and sort of chucking accusations around organisations and the Ministry of Defence is probably not a wise one. I would hope that the Ministry of Defence and the organisation involved here would be able to come together and provide some comfort and support to those people that have been affected.
Yeah, look, recently with other sort of geopolitical things going on, we hear about the CRINC countries, China, Russia, Iran, North Korea. Are they the prime suspects when it comes to hacking of this kind?
Well, so the government have made announcements about hacks that have happened in the past that are in the public domain now. So these are the nations that get called out regularly. But again, I'd refer it back. This is not a new approach. The proxy war approach of going after the suppliers is not a new approach. But certainly, there's plenty of evidence to suggest that those countries are leading from the front on these kind of things.
Well, just finish off, Graham. Let's just turn it on its head. Does Britain do this kind of thing to China?
I think it would be reasonable to state that organisations like the US, the UK, NATO, and all those have spent a great deal of money on cyber defence. You would have to make the assumption that they're also spending money on offensive capabilities. But I'm not able to offer an educated view on that.
Well, you've offered views nonetheless, and we appreciate you taking the time. Graham Stewart, many thanks indeed.
Thanks a lot.
Next, the spokesperson for Prince Harry says he